Oh, it's a new year, Jay. It is a new year. Do you get excited about New Year's stuff at all?
I kind of do. I like the beginnings of things, so I do get excited.
You know what? I just never have cared about New Year's or it's just another day to me. But you know what I am excited for?
What are you
Is
excited for?
I'm excited as hell about being on the Nightcap Chat Network with our new show, Ink and Paint. You want to do it?
Let's do it.
Pilot episode, Ink and Paint. Here we go. All right, so official introductions to the show. This is Ink and Paint, and it is going to be a monthly show, or as time permits, right, Jay? If something happens and we need to talk about it, we'll jump on and do an episode, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll have to jump in.
Yep. So it's going to be a show, and what it is, and it's going to be a show on Disney themed things. So that could be Disney Plus shows. It could be Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, any of the Disney properties. It could be about the movies that we just saw. It could be about theme park news. It could be about Universal Studios. Just in that whole world is kind of what Jay and I do. And since I just started it, Jay, why don't we start with you? Introduce yourself to the listeners.
Well, my name is Jay. I've been doing, man, it seems like we've been doing these shows forever. Practically, we have been, but like Steve said, I go ahead and do, what I like is anything Disney related. I am a huge Disney guy, mostly Star Wars, though. That's kind of where I lean on as far as my so-called area of expertise.
And I would say, I'm going to interrupt you, that you do have expertise. You are a Star Wars aficionado. If I ever have a Star Wars question, I ask you. Jay, I think, has forgotten more about Star Wars than most people. And I also think that he fits in perfect with the Nightcap Chat group because they also have a good knowledge of Star Wars. But Jay is, by a landslide, my most knowledgeable Star Wars friend.
All right. Well, thanks for the compliment, Steve.
Oh, sure. Anytime, buddy. I mean, you do, though. How many times are we watching something and I text you and I say, what's this? And then right away, you'll either send me a picture of who I'm talking about or some sort of a breakdown. You know what you're doing, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. We always message each other back and forth. I mean, it could be late at night, like, midnight, and, we'll send each other
yeah, that's
something.
Exactly how it goes. So Jay and I are pretty tight. And so Jay, I would say, he's an expert of everything Disney. You have a lot of Disney stuff in your house, a lot of kids in the house. So Disney's been a big part of your world for a long time, right, Jay?
Yep. And it's speaking of things in our house, what about you, Steve? Just a little?
That's a little bit of I love that segue. Now, if anyone knows me, they'll know that my house is full of posters and Disney nonsense. And I think that's why we work so well together is we share the same affliction, which is obsessive compulsive purchasing disorder. Yes. And that's also why we fit well on this show, because at one time, Lance said that he has like 9 Infinity Gauntlets. And he's just like, it's every time a new Infinity Gauntlet comes out, he has to buy it. And I think that's hilarious because I kind of feel like that with our movie stuff too, Jay.
That is like freaking fantastic, by the way. I mean, Thanos comes down. He pick and choose which one he wants.
I think that's one of the jokes he made. What mood am I in today? So, awesome. So my name is Steve. You guys recognize me from being on Nightcap Chat here and there. I like to come on, do nothing really, and harass Lance and Blade and Ken. So to all of you Nightcap Chat listeners, thank you for letting us be a part, and I hope you subscribe.
Thank you.
And enjoy the show. So one of the things that we really need to talk about is who we are and how we've been doing podcasting for so long, because Jay and I have a very long history of podcasting. If you don't mind, I'll just go into a brief a brief breakdown.
Go for it, dude.
Of what you and I did. Jay and I worked together on a show. He would come on as a guest host on a very successful show that we had on Res TV called Mousecast. And that has been going on for, Jay, it's been 8 years since we've been doing that. And we've been doing it. Yeah. So Mousecast was a show I was on before I even knew Jay, but it was covered all things like what we're doing here. And it was on the Res TV network. And we kind of bounced around with different hosts and everything. But Jay and I have always stayed really tight. So we've been doing shows for a long time. And then Jay took Ink and Paint and started doing it on his own. And it was a fun show for us to get on and talk about it. And it was a YouTube show for a long time. Yes. And it's just kind of getting hard to do YouTube shows. And I think that with Blade's channel being so great, we just feel like we're welcome to be a part of the audio podcast network, but Jay and I have a long history of podcasting with various levels of success. And I would say that every single one of them is a success to me, and it's always freaking hilarious to listen to.
Definitely. Yeah, if you guys have listened to any of our things before, you know we are here to not only give you the news, but also to have fun doing it. Because we're just like you guys.
Yeah, we're just screwing around.
Just like to have fun, yeah.
Absolutely. So we both have been doing this for a long time. Jay and I are both very avid theme park goers. I am a current annual pass holder to Universal Studios, and we have both been annual pass holders for Disneyland in California for a long time. I think I had mine for a decade, Jay. After we recorded, I looked back, and Lila is 15, and we had her passes when she was 2. So we had our annual passes, and we live in Arizona, so we used to drive over almost every single weekend. And then I realized how much money we were wasting on hotels and gas and toys and food and merch, and we had to stop being annual pass holders because it got very expensive. But we still go as frequently as we can. Jay always goes too. They are really big. Their family is always into the theme parks, but also Jay's really into the conventions. He has gone to D23. Jay, you want to go through a quick bio of your convention attendance? Because like Blade and Lance and Ken, he is very big onto going to those.
Oh, okay. Well, I've been to, what am I on, like 4... maybe 5 going to as far as Star Wars celebrations. I forget how many.
This year has to be
actually with you, though.
Yeah. Okay. If that's the case, then this has to be your 5th or 6th.
It has to be. I've been going ever since. So I've been going to Star Wars celebrations, hit different Comic-Cons depending on where they're at.
Different locations. You went to the one in Florida and had. This is when he was really helpful. He was doing live updates from.
Am I not? Wait. Am I not helpful anymore?
No, I mean, when you were like helpful to people, let me rephrase that. When you were helpful on the spot because you were texting and posting videos and pictures of how it was going down. And I know for a fact that 4 people reached out and asked, hey, can Jay tell us where to go do this? And where can we go and do this? Yes. Because you were updating people as you went live. And the Florida one, I remember being a disaster. And you were keeping people posted. And I know that at least 4 people messaged us and thanked us because you helped them navigate the crap scenario that was the Florida celebration.
Yes. Yeah, we could do a show just on Star Wars celebrations and Comic-Cons and stuff, but that's basically kind of where my expertise lies, is between Star Wars and then the different basically different Comic-Cons you can go to. And as well as with Steve with the parks, Disneyland, I've been hitting probably my number 1 theme park. I've been to where are we at? Disney World in Florida. I've been everywhere.
All of them, exactly.
Yeah.
So that just brings up a really good intro, sort of a softball to getting talking with us, Jay, is what you just said it. Disneyland is your favorite theme park, correct?
Yes.
And I've been to them all, and but I've been to Disneyland the most, and I concur with this. I actually will have a sidebar. My favorite is DCA at Disneyland. As much as I love Disneyland, I am smitten with California Adventure. I think it's fantastic, and this year it got a big facelift by adding Marvel's Avengers Campus. And I think that's really interesting to go to. At first, I didn't have a really high positive opinion about it, but at the end of the day, I liked it a lot for what it is. So Jay and I both know a lot about the parks, but yeah, we're West Coast people, even though I'm from the East Coast and Jay, you're from Illinois.
We kind of switch our things. We're both from Arizona, and then I just moved back to Illinois, and you're in Arizona.
I'm still here. And so we both know a lot about the parks. So one of the things that we will bring is updates on theme parks. As a matter of fact, we have an interesting story about Disneyland today, which kind of makes me nuts. So we'll go over that in a little bit. So we both go to the parks. We'll have a lot of information on that.
Yes.
So
yes.
Talk about favorite theme parks. Jay, what was your favorite Disney-related thing in 2021?
2021. I would have to say just their shows in general, Disney Plus, specifically Marvel related. Marvel did have some things that they threw out that I was not a huge fan of, but like WandaVision and Loki. I mean, even the times of that we're in right now, they're still doing it. They're still getting it done. So, WandaVision probably hands down my favorite out of what has come out this year. But also just in general, again, with the movies, I think that it's Marvel hands down for me for 2021.
That's interesting. I would agree. I have a couple of things I really liked out of Disney this year. WandaVision would be my favorite Marvel related thing. Loki is a very close second. And then honestly, Hawkeye, we just finished that and I love that as well. The only one that I think was even close to a miss would be Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier and Captain America. Mostly just because I found it a little tedious and maybe it got a little slow. I didn't dislike it like the other guys do, but I felt like it was a little bit much to deal with because I liked sort of the other pacing, but I liked all of it. I had fun watching all of it, but I really liked Hawkeye. And WandaVision. WandaVision, I think, just stole the show. What a way to start the Marvel world in Disney Plus.
Exactly, especially after, going into that next jump for Marvel, starting it off with WandaVision. How fantastic was that?
Such a good leap. Also, you start off like that, it's hard to keep that pace going. And as of this year, we had WandaVision, Loki, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and now Hawkeye. 4 shows, and I think 3 out of 4 of those shows were absolutely fantastic. And even the 4th one I don't think was horrible. I just felt it was a little tedious. So what a way to start Disney Plus's world at a time where people weren't seeing movies. We also, this last year, got Black Widow, which I did like a lot. I did enjoy Black Widow. I did not for the other 2, which were Shang-Chi and Eternals. I can't say a lot of positive things about those, which does make me nervous about the future of the MCU. As far as their cinematic world. But we do have some big stuff coming this year. We have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which we saw a teaser trailer for at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home. And I think it has massive potential. And also, unlike the other guys, I am very much looking forward to Thor Love and Thunder
I am
this
too.
year.
But I'm looking for it for different reasons because I'm a huge Natalie Portman guy, as you know.
You are. Yes, he is a massive Natalie Portman fan, which always makes me laugh. I remember I almost bought you a poster of her off of eBay, and your wife straight up said, "No, you can't have it," and hang it in the house.
I know. I know.
Yeah, but she could go buy bags. That's okay. Go to Louis Vuitton, but I can't have a poster of Natalie Portman in my house. What kind of house are you in, Jay? Another thing that I was a fan of in 2021 on Disney was I liked Cruella a lot. I think we both did.
We did.
And that surprised me because I did not expect to enjoy it. I went in sort of begrudgingly. Not an Emma Stone fan, and I thought the idea of it was really dumb. But after seeing it, I'm smitten with it, and we've watched it at home, I think 4 or 5 times, and I think the soundtrack is outstanding.
The soundtrack is probably one of the best soundtracks. I mean, I would probably put it up there right with, like, your Forrest Gumps and stuff. It's very good.
That is a bold statement, but I do agree. I listen to it quite frequently. It's mostly Britpop from the 70s.
Yes.
But also there's a Florence and the Machine is on there, and they do a good cover. Not a cover, it's the original song of like Cruella, but I just thought it was a great film and a great soundtrack. So I'm glad we both were on the same page with that. And then the other thing I really like, this is this long shot, but have you watched those shorts that Olaf does on Disney Plus where he goes over like Moana and the Little Mermaid? And I think it's called Olaf Presents, right? Is that what it's called?
Dude, you know that we watch those.
Yes, exactly.
We keep talking about these things nonstop.
I know, but the thing is we've re-recorded this episode like 4 times now, and I keep on forgetting what we go over. But Jason, we just rewatched
fantastic
them. Oh my god! And we just rewatched them the other day, and I laugh harder and harder every single time because I love it when he goes into the corner and he gets mad.
Yes,
and she died, and then she wasn't dead quite yet. He fell down and then he died again. And Scar came back. I just love it. It's so freaking funny. So I like Disney Plus and what they're doing. There are some big misses that they've done this year, but also they're so small compared to I think their successful sort of shows and everything. So I'm really into Disney Plus. It's one of my favorite subscriptions to have.
I totally agree with you. It'd be easily one that my number one. So
I can see, yeah.
Worst come to worst, if we had to get rid of stuff, Disney Plus would probably be the last to go.
I completely agree. There's always a lot of stuff to watch on there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of who we are now. But outside of that, I am looking forward to one thing. So in 2022, Jay's going to be. He's already said this before, and I hate to rub it in again, but that's what happens when we have to re-record an episode, right, Jay? I have 2 really big Disney things happening this year. Starting in March, Sarah and I are taking a 7-day Disney cruise, a 5-day, I apologize, out of Florida. It'll be my 3rd time taking a Disney cruise and Sarah's 2nd. I am such a fan of Disney Cruise Line, I can't even tell you. I am very much looking forward to it. And as of today, here we are at the end of the year. Everything is still on track, and they haven't changed anything yet with their COVID standards and whatever. They're very strict. You have to have your whole vaccines. You have to have the booster, I believe, as well. But also you have to pass. You have to come out with a negative test right there on the spot. So Sarah was talking about how worried she is about that. Like, listen, we've all been boosted and shots and everything is fine. But what if we get it like on the plane ride there, and we get all the way out there and we don't have any symptoms. We're perfectly good on our shots, but then we have a late second positive test. Wouldn't that suck out loud? Like, there's nothing we can do. I couldn't reschedule it to another time because I wouldn't have the ability to. So it's like, damn, I'm nervous about that. So we will be going over at what happens on a Disney Cruise Line here in 2022. And then the other thing that I'm really looking forward to, and Jay, I'm not even convinced you're not coming. I think that your wife owes you a solo trip with us, and that's where we're going to go to Epcot in the summer, because my most anticipated theme park thing of all time happens this summer, and that would be the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Epcot Center in Florida, which will be the world's largest high-speed indoor roller coaster. And it is going to be freaking fantastic. I cannot wait to go.
Dude, how crazy. I would have to go ahead and say, first of all, we need to make that happen. But secondly, I would say my thing I'm looking forward to is probably the whole Obi-Wan series.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hands down. I mean, Ewan McGregor is like my...
You can say it. You can say it. Man crush. Yes, he's up there. I know he is. You love the man.
I love you, Ewan McGregor. Favorite actor all time. Then favorite character.
Yeah.
My thing. That's what I'm looking forward to. Even more to Star Wars Celebration coming back out. Hopefully, it's still going on here next year, but we'll see. But
so, Jay, a quick question on that.
Yes.
Because you and I talked about this, but I had not thought about it really until you just said this. Star Wars Celebration usually has a giant panel that's talking about the upcoming film, and you will get to see either a trailer or see some of the characters, a teaser, a snippet, whatever. I saw it for Rogue One, and also we saw it for Force Awakens together, and it was a huge deal. There are no movies coming out for them to promote. Will the A-list thing to do at Celebration be the Obi-Wan panel?
It would have to be. It would almost, it would have to be, because, I mean, you're going to be coming up. You got
Ahsoka.
You have Mandalorian.
That's got to be it, though, because there's no movie. There's nothing for them to do.
There's nothing. So I would say a majority of that would have to be.
Okay.
And they're probably going to end up using it too at this is going into a different type of into a conversation, but basically you're going to have something big coming out between now and then for them to go ahead and throw either a trailer out or something. So they're really good at doing that kind of stuff at Star Wars Celebration to get that hype going, because that's where the place to be is. That opening day is, trying to catch that trailer.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's got to be it. But I honestly think, Jay, without a movie, I think that the Obi-Wan series is going to be big enough so that they're going to be happy. And I'm going to rope in one of the topics that we were supposed to talk about today. At the end, I'm going to do it right now. Is you and I just watched the pilot episode of the Boba Fett show, the Book of Boba Fett on Disney Plus. So by the time this airs, probably 3 or 4 episodes will have already passed. So we apologize. But Jay and I both happened to watch it coincidentally at the exact same time, which is, again, funny because Jay and I are like brothers from a different mother. And we both have the same opinion. And Jay, go for it. What do you think?
All right. So I got to say, opening up this with Boba Fett in the Sarlacc pit, how freaking fantastic.
I loved it.
How fantastic. You always knew in the back of your mind, there was always that rumor that, even before all the new Disney stuff has come out to kind of explain his story and, have these cameos back and forth, you knew at some point there was a rumor that he got out of the Sarlacc pit. You just didn't know how.
How, exactly.
So for that to happen, for them to show that, how fantastic. So I would say seeing the first episode out of 10, I would probably give it a good 8.
You know that's hilarious, Jay, because I have the list up on IMDb, and this morning it has a solid 8.0 rating. Literally,
nice.
Out of all the thousands of people that have rated it, episode 1, which is called Stranger in a Strange Land, has a 8.0 rating on IMDb, which is what you just rated it. So obviously that's got to be a straight up, you nailed it. I would agree. I loved it. I love the idea of him. In theory, it looked like he killed the Sarlacc, right? Because its tentacles were all just laying there.
Yes.
But I thought it was really cool because when you see the concept art at the end of the show, which they're still doing like The Mandalorian,
yes,
you see that it doesn't look like the Sarlacc's dead. Its tentacles are still waving in the air, but in the show, it made way more sense. So I will also say that if you haven't watched this or if you're thinking about it, if you like The Mandalorian, I guarantee you're going to like this for a couple of reasons. One, it feels like it's just a continuation of The Mandalorian. It feels like it is, and for a very good reason. One of those reasons is the music is done by the same person as The Mandalorian.
Yes.
And so it'll probably get Emmys because The Mandalorian always gets Emmys for music. So the music is the same, and the directors are almost all the same. What they did on this series was they picked some of the best directors from The Mandalorian and put them in. So the director of the first episode was Robert Rodriguez. Robert Rodriguez is a huge director who directed the pilot episode of The Book of Boba Fett that airs now. So I'm going to go through the next one. The director of episode 2 is Dave Filoni. And he's co-directing with Steph Green. Now, we all know Dave Filoni. Don't even need to go into that. The director of episode 3, Jon Favreau. Okay. Director of episode 4, Bryce Dallas Howard. The director of episode 5, Kevin Tannerishin. I don't know. He directed Fame, Mortal Kombat, and a bunch of episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But other than that, he's the first real new one to this group. Episode 6, which airs in February, directed. We don't know yet. It's not announced yet. Let's see here. Does episode 7 have their director? That's February 9th, which appears to be the finale. And they have not announced the directors for episode 6 and 7. But of that group, you have all of them except for one are returning directors. And not only are they returning directors, they're some of the best directors of The Mandalorian yet. They picked their best 3. Dave Filoni, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Jon Favreau. And then when you throw in, what's his name, Robert Rodriguez from last night's episode, they really are stacking this up to feel like The Mandalorian 2.0. And I think that it feels like that.
And I totally agree with you. So first of all, you're telling me that they don't have a director for 7 and 8?
Well, they haven't. It's not on IMDb yet, and they purposely do that because it could be somebody special.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and make a bold prediction right here.
Okay, I love this.
I'm going to say you're going to see George Lucas somewhere involved in those.
Okay, I love that you said that, and it gives me the chills because we did see a lot of George Lucas on the set of The Mandalorian with Dave Filoni, and I think that what people have said over the past few years is they did not like the new trilogy and that people really wanted him to come back. I disagree with that statement, but I hear people saying that, right? I love the idea of them doing a fan service and letting him come and direct like the finale or something like that.
Yes.
Because that is a very good prediction. And that's a very good one. There's got to be a reason why they're not saying who's directing the last 2.
Yes. I mean, because at some point we're going to have to go ahead and Star Wars is actually starting to move that way onto different things. And I'm even going past the whole Mandalorian thing. We got to get into a different time period here because we're basically kind of in that book of Skywalker. So what a way to go ahead and go out is to have George Lucas more involved in even directing these things coming up.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm okay with that because you don't necessarily want to redo the entire thing. We don't need him to be the new Kathleen Kennedy of the world. We'll just let him do it. But if he wants to direct, I don't think there's a better person to direct a character that was created by him in the first place. Even though I don't think his track record is 100%, I don't think any of the filmmakers that make Star Wars are 100% so far. I just don't. The only one that I think that really is Filoni. I think Dave Filoni is the only one that I don't think has made a big mistake yet. I think every other one has some. So why not? Why not give him another shot and let him do it? And I think this is the perfect answer. A 38-minute episode, or he could direct the last 2 together, kind of like what they did with the Mandalorians. So
yes,
film them together. I'm personally just glad that they're bringing everybody back. But more importantly, I love Bryce Dallas Howard as a director. I think that she is absolutely a genius. And I'm a huge fan of hers in general. But seeing her episodes in this makes me really think that she has a bigger role in Star Wars in the future. I would not be shocked if in the future they announced that she was going to be directing a film, a feature-length Star Wars film, because they're trying to be really diverse by getting these people. And they had the lady whose name escapes me right now that made Wonder Woman, and then they just scrapped her show. She is not doing it anymore. Her movie, she's done. She's no longer involved. So if they're going to replace her, because Star Wars and Disney and Lucas, they like to keep it all sort of on a very similar tone. Why not bring Bryce in to take her spot? I think Bryce has proven herself twice in a hard spot, and she's nailed it. So I think that she's going to be a big part of the Star Wars future, and I'm excited about that.
I totally agree with you. And how awesome is, I know I'm going to butcher her name. It's Ming-Na Wen.
Oh, she's my favorite character in the show.
I love her. Everything that she's actually ever been in, as far as hands down, I just love her.
Yeah, so
she's fantastic.
So do I. I think she's great, and I love her sort of sarcastic, snarky responses to stuff. And I just think that she's great. I think I love the cast. I'm smitten with them.
Yes.
So I love the visuals, and we still could not tell if that ending scene was CGI'd or not, because it was so realistic looking with Boba Fett riding on the back of that thing with 4 arms. I can't tell. By the time this is aired, we'll probably see behind the scenes of them doing it. But my point is, it looks that good. And everything about this show is just, I'm excited about. But you're right. She steals it for me. She's great.
Yes.
So there we go. That's our sort of touch on Star Wars. And if you need more, make sure you follow us and don't miss one of our episodes. Jay is really, really good. He's kind of like, he says what Blade refuses to say these days. So he's going to be great. We'll also have on Ken and Lance as guests. They want to come on too. And they also know a ton. So bring it on. And then we'll close this episode off with something that is theme park related. And I find it to be quite wildly entertaining because it's so stupid. So for the longest time, Disneyland has had fast passes and Disney World has had magic bands, where Disney World, everything is on a wristband. You don't even you can't even physically get a paper ticket. When you buy a ticket to go to Disney World, any of the 4 parks, you have to choose which color wristband you get, and they send you your magic band. There are literally millions of different versions of magic bands. People collect them. They're kind of cool. But that's the point, right? In Disneyland on the West Coast, you still either get a paper ticket or now you use the app and they scan your phone when you go into the park. Well, we've heard for a long time that they were bringing magic bands over to Disneyland. Magic bands, you wouldn't think so, is one of the most expensive overhauls to a theme park that you can possibly do, because every place has to have a wristband scanner. And that means that they have to drill into the ground, wire these things up, and a lot of them have to have really good wireless access. It's a very expensive process, but we've been waiting for that in Disneyland, because why not, right, Jay? Shouldn't they both have the same thing? You should be able to keep your magic band, right? Yes. And just use it at both places.
Yeah.
Well, last year they made the announcement that they're coming out with something different. It is called Disney Genie. And Disney Genie is a app sort of version of the magic band. So we got to
I
kind of
use laugh when you said that.
Oh, it's so stupid. I'm sorry. So we got to actually go and experiment with this earlier this year. Lila and I went the first week of Avengers Campus opening up. And so we spent the day at Avengers Campus, which was on my list of things that I liked about Disney in 2021. What they did is they took over a Bugs Land in DCA and they made it Avengers Campus. And at first I was unimpressed because I didn't really grasp what the point of it was. There's one ride and it's a Spider-Man ride. Did you just open a bag of chips?
No. Why? Does it sound like chips?
Yeah. But anyway, so Avengers Campus, and it's a lot of fun. And my kind of review on that is it's very good for kids because it's very character meet and greet friendly. There's characters all over the place at any given moment. The Spider-Man show is really cool. I'm not a huge fan of the Spider-Man ride, but when you're done and you've spent the day there and you see it go from daytime to nighttime and the different characters in the shows, it is a lot of fun. It actually is really cool. But while we were there, we got to see the very first trial. They got rid of fast passes altogether. No more fast passes. Here's the big caveat to that. When you have the Disney Genie app, you have to now choose a fast pass if you want one. And here's the big problem here is Disney Genie at Disney World is $15 per day per person. In Disneyland, it's $20 a day per person. And here's what you get for $20 per person. You can skip one standby queue at a time by booking your reservation for the Lightning Lane, which is the new Fast Pass queue. You can only book one reservation at a time or one every hour. But remember that you got to start early in the morning because almost every attraction sells out by the afternoon. So here's my problem with it. Number one, it is failing on a massive level. The day that they opened up, the whole entire system crashed. And that sucks because you can no longer just willy-nilly walk around the park. You can't just walk around the park and decide to get a fast pass for this and then go do this later. You have to have everything scheduled out. And while I kind of like the scheduling out process, what I don't like is that you can no longer hit up a bunch of different rides and spend the extra time shopping. You are now spending a ton of your time standing in line. And what do people hate most is when you're standing in line and right at the very end, that one person in front of you actually was holding his place for the entire family and 8 people show up, right?
Yeah.
It's not cutting because there's somebody there, but I can see their point and why it's annoying, right? We've talked about that for years on Ink and Paint and Mousecast.
Yeah.
Now you're forcing people to do that because if you have one reservation for one ride and it's done, you have to now stand in these giant lines and wait. And who's going to do that and just sit there with a family of 6? It's never going to happen. People are going to go walk around and do their thing and come back in line, and it pisses people off. I think it's a huge mistake because now we're not shopping as much. One person is standing in line constantly. That's one person that's not buying food, drinks, and merch. They're just standing there. I don't understand how this is ever seen as a good idea. It's just not to me.
No, and I totally agree with you. This is so if you're telling me if the system goes ahead and goes down on this is a list here, what this band is supposed to go ahead and do for you. So it unlocks your resort hotel room. So if the system goes down, you can't get into your room, right?
Yeah, well, so if you're okay, the band is in Florida, and yes, that is correct. You have to go down to the thing, and then they have to give you access. So you do not want the system to go down because anything involved with the genie going down will impact your account, and it makes it hard to navigate anything.
Yeah, because you can't because it also does your purchases, your dining plans, all that.
Yeah, so there's obviously, I like having things scheduled out because I do like being able to say, we have 3 hours before we have to be in line, and then we're good to go. You know what I mean? We have time. But at this point, I could not disagree any harder. I think that it is so counterproductive, and I have a lot less fun.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, the more fun you have, the more money you spend. I mean, literally, these tickets for Disneyland are more expensive now than they've ever been in the history of theme park tickets. They are absolutely insanely expensive. So asking people to spend $20 a person to get into a line faster I think it's a joke. But you know what? I get what they're doing. They're putting together really high quality shows for us, films. Also, they keep updating the parks, and they just took a year off because of COVID. They do have to get that money back, or else they have to shut down the park. It's quite simple. It means you have to save up a little bit more in advance and plan it. What that does is it does take away the people like us that were annual pass holders that could just show up whenever we want. One of the other things that they changed was the annual pass holders now have to make reservations in advance. And unless you get the top tier of annual pass now, which is called Magic Access, I can't remember. Unless you're one of those people that has the top tier, you can only make reservations for one park visit at a time. Meaning that if the park is filled up when you want to go, you are screwed. So again, it takes away the fun for the locals and the people that have annual passes and just jump into the park whenever they want. The one thing I will say about that is a positive is Disneyland, Jay, you know this as well as anybody, is filled up at any given time with 80% locals. And that fills up the park a lot. People usually just go home from work. They will go into the park with their annual passes, go sit at a restaurant, go to DCA and have a drink, and then they'll go home. It's a very casual park for the locals that live right around the area, but now it's a lot harder to do that. Does that help with the lines? I don't think so, because we tried to book a ticket for 2 weeks ago, and the entire month of December was sold out. Sold out. You cannot go to the theme park in December. So clearly the money is not impacting people at all. They don't care. They're making it work. But it goes to show it's getting expensive to do these things. And I have a lot of hard time with every time you buy a ticket, you have to add $20 more to it. It'll say it's $186. Yeah, it's $206. You have to add $20 to every ticket so that you can at least get on a ride. I just think it's really counterproductive, and it makes me mad.
You said it.
Yep.
There's not much more I can add to that because, I mean, seriously.
Yeah, well, we'll give you more updates on theme park stuff and ride openings and closures and any big stuff that happens in the parks throughout the year. We will be going to Disneyland. Actually, Sarah and I will be going to Universal Studios in California in January, so we can always do an update with what's going on in the park. Just a quick note for anybody that is interested in listening right now, California has put on the strictest mask mandates, I believe, in the world, where they now require them for everyone. For a long time, it was only LA County, meaning that Orange County, which is where Disneyland is, was allowing you to go into the park without a mask. And that was the end of it, right? Well, now, if you want to go to Universal Studios, or if you want to go to California Adventure, or if you want to go to Disneyland, you also have to have a vaccine card. You have to prove you're vaccinated. If you don't, you have to take an on-site test and it has to show negative, obviously. And no matter what, it's masks all the time, no matter where you're at in the park, inside, outside, or not. So because of that, I am a little bit turned off about the whole process, because now going into the park, you genuinely have to add at least an extra 20 minutes to your morning routine to get in, whether it's because you have to track down your vaccine card and make sure you bring it and don't lose it. Also, you have to just go through and make sure that if you don't, you have to get in the giant line for a test. And even rapid tests still take 15 to half an hour to get done. So it adds a lot of time to your day that's not inside the park. And what are you going to do? It's California being California, right? I mean, I'm just whining to whine, but there is that one caveat about going to California theme parks right now is it is more time consuming than it ever has been before.
Yep. Yeah, that's one thing. It's just going back to our previous topic about the wristbands. Just give yourself enough time to go ahead and do the stuff, because, again, you're there to have fun. That's the thing. So if you're not giving yourself that time to go ahead and do that, if you're not quite prepared, so again, give yourself that time to hit these parks a little bit earlier. That way you can, again, go there and have fun.
Yep, absolutely. So who knows? Hopefully this thing will get under control the next year or two. I mean, I don't know if it's ever going to be back to fully normal in California. It just doesn't seem like they can get a grip on reality. But that's what it is. It is what it is. And that's where we're going. As of this time in Florida, it's open. They say recommended for people that are not vaccinated or high risk, but it's Florida, so they don't have any rules about how that goes. And that's currently where they're at with all of the Florida theme parks. So side note on that is you're seeing a staffing issue in California, and a lot of the Disney stuff is because a lot of the cast members are actually taking requests to relocate to Florida because they're a little bit sick of the standards that are going on out there. And this isn't really a discussion for that, but it does impact the people visiting California parks, because there will be longer lines for certain things because they're having a hard time keeping staff. So it is what it is, but that's sort of our theme park breakdown right now. But we look forward to coming out with maybe more positive things. This kind of sounded like a negative thing, but it's just what it is. If you're going to go to the theme parks today, you have to be prepared. And that's what it is. Add an extra 20 minutes to your morning routine, and that's where we go. Yep,
exactly.
Well, Jay, I think we pretty much covered a lot on our first episode. I'm just pumped to be here on the Nightcap Chat Network, and I like to be able to record more nonsense with you. So anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. You can follow us. Jay, where do they follow us? First of all, make sure that you follow Nightcap Chat on all of your different things, Instagram, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Don't do Twitter because they don't care about Twitter. And for us, Jay, I think we'll sort of tag team it with them, but where can they find Ink and Paint stuff?
Ink and Paint, you can find us on our Facebook page as well as our Instagram by just looking up Ink and Paint.
Right on. I love it. All right. Well, you guys, thank you very much for joining us. We're happy to be a part of the network, and we look forward to a magical show with you throughout the year, going over everything Disney and theme park related news and updates, and we'll do lists and all sorts of crap. But
until next time,
everybody, take it easy, and thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.